This boy sat in his classroom, convinced that wizards were far too weak to matter. That's because the world is so peaceful. The other kids called him weak since he didn't have any magic power. Kusanagi couldn't place the boy's face at all. The mad bully slammed a forbidden and deadly spell right into the classroom. Everyone thought the worst had happened, but Minato acted like nothing was wrong. He wanted to show everyone how to deal with annoying people. But the teacher stepped in to save the boy after hearing the noise from earlier. Minato brushed off the whole thing and headed back home. The next day, the school used a special machine to test how much magic every student had. Minato kept his secret power hidden so no one would ever know what he could really do. Mizua wondered if Kusanagi was feeling scared. The guy nobody liked talking to the school's biggest star suddenly became the center of attention. She acted all high and mighty just to laugh at him. But Kusanagi wasn't the same person they thought he was. No one at the school had any idea. A week ago, a car crash knocked Kusanagi into a deep sleep from which she hasn't woken. Hours later, he opened his eyes in the hospital to find his body completely healed. Nobody realized that Kusanagi wasn't just who they thought, but Ishami Minato, the greatest wizard who died 50 years ago, who had come back to life inside his own descendant. Back in the classroom, the girl noticed something odd because he didn't seem scared of her at all. When Mizua started chatting with another boy, the hot-headed kid got so mad he could barely hold it in. He was still furious about the way Kusanagi had treated him just the other day. The girl spoke with Minato to see if yesterday's events were just a lucky break. The teacher called out that the test was starting. The very first one was the boy who harnessed the power of fire. He pressed his hand against the machine, his magic surging through it to score 1,000 points. And now it was time for the class's talent to shine. Yuka Mizua channeled her water magic, placed her hand on the machine, and boosted its magic power score to 2,000. Tadano told the boys to stick together because they were the strongest, but the girl just ignored him. The score was so high that no one could even come close. So the girl was sure that Kusanagi would finally see how different she was from everyone else. Minato Kusanagi stepped up to the machine, trying to keep his own special powers hidden so they wouldn't see them. He held back most of his strength. The power didn't come from a single source, but from every single element joining forces together. Kusanagi pushed himself to his limits, driven by a sudden urge to see just how strong he really was. His energy was so powerful that it pulled everyone's gaze toward him until they could look away. His magic power burst outward and filled the sky. The students in the higher classes felt the mana. Even from a distance, that powerful energy burst was so strong it overloaded the machine and made it explode. It was the second day in a row that Kusanagi found herself in the middle of explosions. The girls squeezed their eyes shut just as the machine's parts were about to strike them. But Kusanagi moved quickly to catch them before they even knew they were in trouble. The truth was that people couldn't sense his magic, so they only saw the lights. Even the teacher hadn't seen it coming, but once he made sure the girls were safe, he turned to Kusanagi and asked if he understood why the machine had blown up. He decided it must be a mistake and that he'd get a 0 on the test. They used the test to split the training teams into groups. Since Tadano is the strongest boy, it's a great idea to pair him with the kid who scored the lowest on the last test. Tadano nodded in agreement, telling Kusanagi that he was really excited for the upcoming practical class. The students arrive at the old Shibuya district, where the teacher warns them that a few monsters still lurk in the ruined city from the Great Disaster. Every now and then, magicians and police arrive in this abandoned city to battle the monsters that still lurk within its ruins. The teacher tells the academy's students to help out for some reason, but says not to worry about it. With the big monsters already handled by the pro-magicians and cops, our hero wasn't expecting to have to do a practical class. He wants the students to team up and tackle a few monsters. He recalls arriving here last night, but something feels wrong because he can sense monsters lurking nearby. He remembers cleaning the place thoroughly yesterday, sees no signs of disaster nearby, and wonders why so many monsters keep appearing in old Shibuya. He overhears girls chatting about their rivalry and is surprised to see students this carefree in such a serious class. Mizua watches Kusanagi closely for some reason. As the teacher begins the practical class and wishes for everyone to cooperate, Tadano spots the protagonist and calls him over. He walks up to our boy with his group and tells him to stand still and not get in their way. Tadano lets Kusanagi know that if she starts getting carried away, he won't hold back this time. The main character can't figure out why they wouldn't just walk away if they truly hated him. Tadano gets mad and shouts at him to stop talking back. He can't figure out why Mizua keeps talking to Kusanagi, who is absolutely terrible. Our boy is stunned to learn that Tadano actually has feelings for Mizua. Tadano snaps into rage. The hero spots a clue and as bullies charge with magic, he shouts to halt and makes it clear his apology is over. Kusanagi tells him to check behind, but Tadano thinks she's just playing a silly trick to get out of it. Tadano turns around and sees the whole group of bullies frozen in fear as a tall monster stands right behind them. Everyone starts sweating with fear and asks why a demon soldier is standing in this empty city. The other bullies cheer on Dano, convinced he can win the fight. He promises he will win, even though his face shows he is worried. He steps up and strikes it with a blast of fire magic. Boom! The monster gets hit and explodes right away. Tadano and his friends feel relieved until the smoke fades, and they see the monster standing right in front of them, completely untouched. Tadino stares at the unblemished surface, his heart pounding with terror. Our boy shouts that his weak, level 1 magic is useless against the demon soldier. As the monster steps closer, the entire group freezes in fear. Everyone drops to their knees and begins to shake uncontrollably. Tadano's eyes fill with tears as he wonders if this is where his life will end. He loses it and wets his pants in a pathetic way. Just as the demon soldier is about to strike him down, he suddenly sees the power hidden inside our boy. It gets scared and steps back. Kusanagi stepped forward and was shocked to find that the monster could tell exactly who among them was the strongest. He stands alone against the demon soldier and lets his power fly. The monster goes wild and brings up many glowing magic circles. Tadano and his team think the hero can't win, so they all decide to face their end without fear. The beast reaches out and casts a second-tier spell named Rock Break. A massive rock was about to crash down on him, but he stood his ground, completely unbothered, and just smiled. He draws out a basic spell, a fire arrow, and hurls it straight at the demon soldier. His flaming arrow smashes the monster's thrown rock into dust. The blast hits the demon soldier too, sending him up in a massive explosion. Tadano and his gangmates snap their eyes open. They were stunned to realize the monster was dead. Tadano asks himself what's going on and wonders if Kusanagi is the one pulling the strings, but he can't believe it since someone like her wouldn't do something like this. But our boy shows him that even a weak spell is enough to take down the demon soldier if he's the one casting it. He is baffled to see monsters in Shibuya again, especially since he just scrubbed the whole place and wiped them out yesterday. He worries this might be a bad sign of incoming disaster and isn't sure if he should take everything so seriously. Suddenly, images of the destruction he once witnessed flash through his mind like a painful movie reel. He had to watch many people, including the ones he loved most, die right before his eyes. His heart sinks and he tightens his fist. The hero vows to save humanity, even if the disaster strikes again. The other bullies admit they saw Kusanagi defeat the demon soldier and wonder if it's really the same Kusanagi they know. Tadano gets so mad he smashes his fist into the wall. He is furious and confused about what's going on, while Mizua watches from the shadows and learns surprising secrets about Kusanagi. Mizua pulls out her aqua saucer magic and quickly beats the weak monster. Her classmates are so amazed that they start cheering for her. She feels annoyed and can't understand why regular folks get so easily impressed. She thinks everyone thinks she's just a genius. Then, she spots Tadano and his friends right there. Mizua tells her teammates to take care of everything else before she slips away. She thinks Tadano might be bullying the protagonist again and feels so excited that she dashes off to catch the show. She hides behind the wall and takes a quick peek. Mizuha's eyes go wide with shock the moment she spots a demon soldier standing before her. She isn't sure if they are strong enough to fight such a giant beast. Even though she's terrified, the Mizua girl steps up to help them, knowing she can make a difference. Mizuha sprints toward the group, screaming for everyone to run. Suddenly, a giant wave of fire magic shoots out in front of her and smashes into the demon soldier. Kusanagi slams the mighty beast into the ground with just one blow. Mizuha stares in shock, wondering if our boy is the one behind all of this. She can't believe her eyes, remembering Kusanagi used to be a shy kid with weak magic, yet there she stands now. She watched so closely that the chanting never reached her ears. Mizua can't believe that he managed to beat a demon soldier using only level 1 magic, even without casting a spell. She knows that a demon's power comes from the crystals on its body, and this same rule is used to rank them all. The magical beasts come in 6 ranks, starting with the lowly demon soldiers at 5th, then demon captains at 4th, and the mighty demon generals holding the top 3rd spot. The demon king stands 2nd in the ranking. And finally, the mighty demon god stands alone as rank 1, with these ranks locked in place for every demon forever. Every modern magician knows that hitting a demon soldier needs at least level 3 of magic. She knows that level 1 magic won't be enough to defeat it. Kusanagi steps forward, walking right toward her. Knowing there's nothing to fear, she pops her head up once more to stare right at him. He calls her out for sneaking a peek like that. She blushes in embarrassment and wonders how he figured it out. Our boy figured it'd be dumb for him not to know, especially since she's a mage. Mizua feels lost and sad because she realizes they truly cannot sense magic at all. The little boy began to walk away. She reaches out to pull him back, but he ignores her and just keeps walking forward. Mizua shouts for an answer and runs after him, only to find the alley empty. Kusanagi leaps onto the building, annoyed to see the girl trying so hard to find him. He looks around for monsters and finds no demon soldiers left, but the magical beasts are still everywhere. Seeing Tadano look so scared up close, he couldn't help but wonder if any of his classmates could even fight a magical beast. The hero chooses to put down a handful of magical beasts. Suddenly, his body bursts into light the moment he calls his magic to life. He scans the ruins of the abandoned city, then draws 2 glowing magic circles to unleash his level 2 spell, Barret. Beams of light shoot up into the sky and spread all across Shibuya. Tadano and his friend spot a streak of light in the sky and guess it might be a shooting star. Mizua sees it as magic and wonders who just unleashed so many spells at once. Deep inside Shibuya, 2 students suddenly find themselves trapped by a pack of magical beasts. They feel like there's no way out as they watch a crowd of monsters closing in on them all at once. They both surrender to their fate, but just as the monster charges to kill the girl, it freezes in agony, screaming as a powerful beam of light strikes it. The students check in with one another to see if everyone is okay. The hero looks down and sees all of it. He feels incredible wiping out every monster. As he watches them all fall lifeless, he suddenly realizes he's gone too far and has just wiped out almost every monster in Shibuya. Kusanagi starts to worry if the class can even happen now. He wishes he had held back. He draws magic circles to zip around the city until he spots a secret alley where he lands. He isn't trying to hide his powers, but the constant attention is starting to bother him. He rushes to join his classmates and teachers, who are examining the dead magical beast and wondering why so many of its kind are gone. He figured that most of them had either been caught or were already dead. He thinks a real expert just took them out, since cutting down a monster with one blow is no easy feat. He remembers the magic that vanquished the monsters, and he knows that blasting away so many of them drains his power. Astonished, he admits he has never seen anything like it, and says things would have gone out of control without the magic bullets. The teacher is shocked that firing just 2 is so amazing, knowing that if 6 or more are fired, normal students could never handle that kind of magic. The students scream in anger, wondering why they had to fight so many monsters and nearly die. The teacher bowed her head and offered her sorry. He remembers calling the police to learn that most monsters were already gone, and he wishes he had asked the school to be sure before he left. He truly apologizes for putting the entire class at risk. A girl asked if someone was coming to rescue them. The teacher shook his head, saying it wasn't the police or an official mage, but some shady, forbidden wizard who got involved. He quietly says a silent thank you to the mysterious stranger who saved him. Our boy grins as he hears the teacher giving him a quiet compliment. He sees some students talking about his magic bullets, all trying to figure out what they really are. Kusanagi feels a wave of relief washing over him as he sees that everyone, including his own bullies, is safe and sound. Tadano clenched his jaw tight, fighting down his frustration. The entire gang of bullies just stares right at the protagonist. Mizuho can't stop thinking about how Kusanagi took out a demon soldier all by herself, first with a weak spell, and then with magic that had no end. She wonders if Kusanagi is the mastermind behind both the fire and the null, yet she doubts any student could truly command 2 such different powers, even Kusanagi herself. She settles down, convinced he can't have both traits and guessing that someone else is hiding the missing one. She still can't figure out how Kusanagi managed to beat that demon soldier all by herself. Tatano's team suspects he might be the one behind the laser beams too. Tatano calls it impossible, yet his friend points out that Kusanagi already beat that demon soldier. Tadano gets furious and tells his friend to stop talking or he'll end up dead. His friends grew terrified, while Tadano insisted that someone like Kusanagi couldn't pull off such a trick and must be hiding something. His lackey agrees and recalls just how much of a coward Kusanagi really is. Tadano screams in anger, vowing to trap Kusanagi and force him to admit he's been cheating. Once school lets out, Kusanagi steps outside only to find himself cornered by a massive crowd of tough bullies. Tadano steps forward, saying he has been waiting patiently. The hero is fed up and tells them to channel that stubborn energy into mastering magic instead. Tadano feels he has no right to speak out because he is a cheater himself. Kusanagi can't believe he's being called a cheater, but Tadano insists he's definitely hiding some cheap tricks. Kusanagi grows tired of their nonsense and decides there's no use trying to reason with them anymore. Tadano tells him to follow and praises Kusanagi for not running away. Kusanagi explains there's no need to worry. Tadano rejects his words and lunges with a punch, betting that Kusanagi won't waste magic in a crowded park. The punch lands hard on his face, but he doesn't even flinch. A group of bullies pile on and attack him, yet he stays calm and refuses to fight back. Tadano asks what's wrong, convinced Kusanagi can't get by without his magic. He keeps striking without mercy, showing he won't stop until Kusanagi is dead, no matter how much the other pleads for mercy. The hero feels defeated because his attacks fail to even harm the opponent. His magic steps in to shield him from any physical blow. Feeling irritated, he pretends to be hurt just to please Tadano, but then someone jumps out from behind to ask why they're attacking Kusanagi. Tadano glances behind and spots Mizua there. The bully turns red with shame and claims they're just joking. She isn't fooled by him and calls him out for bullying Kusanagi. She feels hurt seeing her friends act like this and wonders if they don't feel bad about what they're doing. Tadano feels strange, but throws all the blame on Kusanagi, convinced that Mizua must hate him now because of his own bad luck. She grabs the protagonist's hand and drags him away from the mess. Tadano watches as she reaches out to hold Kusanagi's hand. He starts to feel jealous and gets fed up with it. Tadano finally snaps his patience and stops holding back. He launches a spell at our boy. Kusanagi gets irritated. Tadano prepares to take his own life, and his lackeys summon their magic to join in. Mizua wonders why they are acting this way. The entire group launches a fierce wave of fire straight at the hero. Mizua knows just how deadly the situation is, so she rushes to save Kusanagi, but she arrives too late. He meets every attack head-on. Tadano chuckles with surety, convinced that no shady tricks will let Kusanagi escape this overwhelming power. His lackey grew worried and started wondering if he was dead. Tadano sneered at their worry, claiming they only got hurt because Kusanagi accidentally unleashed magic outside of school and got caught in the chaos. As the smoke clears, Kusanagi admits he just wanted to be patient with the brats, but now that they've pushed too far, they need to get punished or their stupidity won't ever stop. He steps up ready to show them all what they've done, leaving Tadano shocked that he is still standing even after they unleashed such strong magic spells on him. Kusanagi's face darkens as he warns them they were wrong to pull Mizua into their mess, and he can't believe how twisted they've become. Tadano screams at them both, demanding they regret making a fool of him before drawing a new magic circle and ordering everyone to keep attacking until Kusanagi dies. Our boy pulls out a tiny magic circle. The bullies laugh and call it trash, convinced he's just pretending, so they all rush him at once with everything they've got, hoping to finally kill Kusanagi. The main character taps into a power that sucks energy from others. Strange green tentacles burst from the small circle and snatch the entire group. Everyone freezes in fear, scrambling to get free, but only managing to fail completely. The bullies and Tadano's sidekick suddenly lose all their power and pass out. Kusanagi feels let down because he thought they'd hold out a bit longer, but he really hopes the bullies will think about what they did and finally get their act together. Mizua feels all mixed up and starts to wonder if she actually just witnessed magic. She's shocked to find the whole gang knocked out and can't figure out how it happened. As Kusanagi tries to get up and walk away, Mizua grabs him to ask what went wrong, noting how he couldn't even cast a weak spell just a few days ago and wondering who he really is. The protagonist gets fed up with her actions and starts asking her hard questions. He tells her to stop asking all those strange questions and try doing something else. Mizua's face turns red as she gratefully thanks him for saving her life. She asks him to answer her questions, but he has vanished from sight. She feels embarrassed and wonders why he left her all over again. When night falls, Kusanagi steps back into the old Shibuya and uses his magic circles to move around. A bad feeling in the daytime made him decide to come and check out what was going on. He stumbles upon fresh monsters in the area, even though he had already killed them all when the sun was up. He thinks it might be a bad sign. The protagonist is sure he can take care of himself if the monsters are just in old Shibuya, but he can feel more of them appearing in other places. He worries it's too much for the police to handle, and there simply aren't many great magicians left. But he's not sure he can fight monsters all over the country by himself. Not knowing what to do, he decides to make a plan first. He decides to start by quietly wiping out every monster in the old Shibuya district, firing his magic bullets to take down multiple foes at once without drawing any attention. A drunk guy wanders into a scary spot without noticing, and right when a monster jumps out from behind him, the hero snaps it up instantly. The guy spots him, But our boy tells himself it's just in his head and starts to sneak away, hoping he doesn't really look like he's being watched. He casts his magic circle and leaps out. Someone grabs him and films everything on his phone. Feeling shocked but sure his video will blow up, he doesn't wait a single second and posts it right away. The next morning, the principal summons Tadano, Kusanagi, and Mizua. The class teacher warned that anyone caught using magic outside school will be kicked out without a second thought. He gives them a chance to tell their side of the story. Tadano points at our boy and tries to make it look like he was the one who wanted to fight. Kusanagi is shocked by how effortlessly Tadano lies, forcing her to speak up and defend him even though it really bugs her. Just as he's about to speak, Mizua jumps in to defend the boy, shouting that they're all lying and revealing that Kusanagi was actually being bullied by Tadano and his friends, who fired magic attacks at him first. The teacher listens closely and realizes our boy has magic as well. She claims it was just self-defense and says he couldn't have done anything else. Kusanagi looks at her with wide eyes, totally caught off guard. Tadano tries to tell the teacher they're innocent, but Mizua quickly silences him and calls out his behavior. She calls him a bad person for bullying Kusanagi and then shifting the blame onto him whenever things go wrong. She can't fathom why he isn't ashamed, while Tadano calls him trash and Mizua agrees, telling him he doesn't belong at the school since he's just trying to clean up his own mess. Tadano, full of pride, claims he is the top student and the only one who truly deserves to stand next to her. Kusanagi doesn't deserve this because she has no idea what he's saying. Tadano warns her not to hide for Kusanagi, telling her to open her eyes and become his woman instead. She was so repulsed, she told him there was no way she'd ever pick someone as trashy as him. Tadano stares in shock after being turned down. She turns him down because of his violent ways and calls him stupid for admitting his feelings in such a weird situation. Our boy gets why she said it, but feels she went too far, while Tadano passes out after hearing her rejection. Since he and his friends are the bad guys, and Kusanagi only used magic to defend himself, the principal made it clear he doesn't want students who hurt others just for selfish reasons. He kicks Tadano and his crew out, while Tadano's henchmen try to defend themselves by claiming they were just following orders. The teacher lets Kusanagi and Mizua head back to their classes. They both walked out of the principal's office. Mizua gets so mad that she calls Tadano the worst guy ever. Our boy asks what happens next after they get kicked out, and she explains there's no way they'll ever become magicians, which was pretty clear to see. She can't figure out why Kusanagi stayed quiet even though he tried to speak up, and just as she asks what's wrong, a sudden thought flashes through his mind. Kusanagi says he thought about all the time she spent trying to save him. At first, he was fighting in class, but now that the principal has called them, he calls her a good girl for always helping him out. Her face turns red, and she feels so shy she can't hide it. Mizua snaps at him to be quiet and dashes toward the classroom so she can get him first. Kusanagi smiles to himself as he watches her walk away. He feels the old Kusanagi must have passed away, and his soul came back to live in this new body. Our boy wonders if the bully finally got him, or if it was truly just a car crash. He still doesn't know the real truth, but he feels relieved that the bullies finally got their comeuppance, and gives a hopeful smile. The principal tells the two older students that a fight broke out with magic flying around, but luckily, no one got hurt. The senior student wonders why she was called back when everything seems fine now. The principal told her that one of the students involved is Ukam Mizua. The blue-haired girl nods, grateful that the principal told her the truth. He tells her to pass his hello along to her dad, and she reassures him that her family is ready to invest in the school. She steps outside with her friend while the principal stares in disbelief, wondering how Kusanagi could possibly fight so many mages at once when it should be nearly impossible. There's no way a normal student could win unless they're hiding some mysterious strength, so he wonders if Kusanagi is stronger than them, but the blue-haired girl says no. He's eager to meet the boy to confirm things, while she ponders if her little sister should be kicked out based on how capable Kusanagi is, she being Mizuharuka from the third-year class with her friend Katsuragi Ruji, also from the same grade. Now that life has finally calmed down, Kusanagi finds himself losing his drive. He listens as his classmates chatter about a mysterious figure called the Black Mage, making him wonder if they mean the same magic nobles he has studied. He chooses to ignore the problem for now, but just then the teacher steps in and calls Kusanagi outside for the test. He says that the students who missed their test last time can try again. Mizua feels happy to finally learn more about our boy until her older sister Ruka Mizua and Katsuragi walk right in. She can't figure out why her sister suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The teacher calls for Kusanagi to begin his test of magic power. Remembering he broke the machine last time, our boy decides to be careful and hold back this round. He pours out his magic power, but suddenly he starts feeling strange. Extreme tiredness washes over him, and he starts gasping for air. The teacher asks if he's okay, taking a look at the machine and the results. Mizua and the teacher are stunned to find his attribute is empty and his magic is only 100, which makes Katsuragi smile. Two students chat about Kusanagi, calling him the weakest in their group and useless because he doesn't even have a magic attribute. Katsuragi suspects the principal's story is a lie and doubts that the protagonist really took down all the delinquents by himself. Ruka feels let down and walks away because they have no reason to stay, while the students notice Kusanagi is exhausted from the test since his magic is so weak, but their teacher tries to comfort him by saying his magic power isn't the most important thing. Mizua can't believe what she's seeing, since she remembers watching our boy take down a demon soldier alone and knows he can fire up both fire and null powers at once. She wonders what trick he's pulling, since she's never seen a mage hide their power by sneaking around with it like that. The protagonist feels relieved and happy with the result, having pushed his body to its limit to bend the magic to his will. He feels sure he's finally got it under control, and as he walks out, our boy runs into Mizua, who admits she was just curious about what was happening in the assessment room. She says she only came out of curiosity, but then Ruka suddenly stops them both right inside the school hall. Kusanagi wonders who they are. Then she introduces herself and Katsuragi. He notices her family name and wonders if she wants something from him. She told him she doesn't care at all, and then turned to walk over to her little sister. Mizua starts worrying, while Ruka feels let down that her sister couldn't beat just a couple of delinquents. She also finds out Mizua was saved by someone with 100 magic power, and she asks if it's all true. Mizua's confirmation only makes her sister furious. She tells Mizua to pack her things and leave the academy right now. Mizua couldn't figure out why she was talking without a purpose. Ruka gently points out that she has never won a single match, be it in schoolwork, sports, or magic tricks. Ruka thinks Mizua isn't quite ready to become a mage. She believes Mizua has done enough and should leave the academy to attend a regular school instead. Mizua begins to cry, but she can't speak a word. Her sister asks if everything is clear, and Mizua, her heart pounding, nods yes. Kusanagi finally steps in and calls Ruka arrogant. She demands he say it again, her face icy cold. He shows how she keeps blabbing on without a care, ignoring what her little sister has to say. He sees right away that she's too proud to let him speak her mind, treating their talk like a family matter where he has no say. He is shocked to hear her talking, while he only hears her bossing her little sister around without letting her have a word. She gets angry, but our boy keeps believing that she has no right to tell anyone how to live their life. He steps up and tells her she's terrible for making her little sister quit on the life she wanted. Ruka boasts that her sister is far too weak to be a mage since she can't even beat her in a fight. Mizua breaks down and agrees with her older sister, admitting she's been fooling herself this whole time. She kept telling herself she had the talent to become a mage, but she couldn't even win a fight against her own big sister. Kusanagi stood tall and declared with complete confidence that she would beat Ruka. He suddenly starts smiling, leaving everyone confused. Ruka challenges him, but he asks for a break, admitting that Mizua can't win right now. Ruka gives them 2 weeks to settle it with a one-on-one magic duel. He is shocked, but nods in agreement, calling it complete nonsense. He asks Mizua to do it while smiling, which makes her stop crying and agree to take on the challenge with fresh determination. Once the choice is made, Kusanagi tells them to never speak of this again if he wins. Ruka's bet is that her sister will have to quit the academy if they and Katsuragi come out on top. She warns them that she won't hold back, so they must get ready and face the truth head-on. After a bit, Mizua and Kusanagi head up to the rooftop. She asks for his help to learn more magic fast, so she can get better. He finally gets why he had to climb to the rooftop. He asks if she's truly willing to learn magic from a guy like him, who only has a measly power of 100. She doesn't believe his words because she already knows he's hiding his real power, and she's certain he is far stronger than she is. He realizes that this time, she isn't stepping back. She thinks he knows how to get stronger, so he dared her sister to fight. He knows Ruka can't stop herself from trying to control everything, which is why he teased her into fighting, though he couldn't possibly tell Mizua that. She bends her head low and begins to beg him for help. He decides to stop fighting and agrees to help her become stronger. She asks once more to make sure she has it right. He tells her beforehand that she must obey his every order and that there's no turning back once the training begins. She instantly agrees to every one of his demands, and Kusanagi finds it hard to refuse her desperate plea, especially since training her as a mage seems like a smart move while he gets ready to deal with the many monsters in Shibuya. Mizua blushes and shyly invites him over to her place. After a while, they finally arrived at her house. He is shocked by the giant house, yet she knows it makes sense because her dad is a powerful noble mage. Mizua suddenly realizes this is her first time ever inviting a guy into her home. She ponders whether her friendly invitation seemed odd to him, even though she has no hidden motives. Kusanagi urges them to begin, but seeing her lost in thought, he snaps her out of it by calling her Wika. The girl blushes when he says her name, but he explains he's only trying to avoid confusion since her sister is also called Mizua. She sighs with disappointment at his reply. Then he asks if she has another name in mind, but she nods and agrees to go with Yuka, so he decides to start his training and asks her to look after him. The first thing he asks her is about her magic, and she easily replies that it's just energy inside everyone's body that lets them cast spells. He asks her about spells, and she replies with confidence that magic works just like a program, automatically turning it into an attack. He wonders if magic power can grow stronger, but she shakes her head and says it's written in the stars at birth and fades away as time passes. Uka beams with pride, feeling amazing for answering every single question perfectly. He tells her that every single answer she gave is incorrect. She looks disappointed and starts to cry, wondering if he thinks she is being stupid. The hero feels terrible and thinks these mages are crazy, shocked that everything changed so much in just 50 years. He begins to explain that magic isn't just inside her, but it's everywhere in nature and around them. Calling out spells is just the right way to keep your magic strong and safe. You can also choose to push your magic power even stronger on purpose. She can't believe what he's saying and calls it a lie because it goes against the Academy's rules. Yet if true, it would bring down the Magic Craft Academy, and he doesn't care if she believes him since he plans to teach her about these 3 things during their training. He commands her to sit and tells her that once he sends magic in her, she must call out the moment she feels it. She is shocked to learn she can feel magic, and he insists that if she can't sense it, she won't get any stronger, so he tells her to close her eyes and reaches out to touch her. He lets his magic fly, only to realize she still can't feel it. He pours out even more magic, puzzled that she can't feel its powerful presence at all. Finally, Eureka feels something warming her back. He showed her how to feel the magic power, and finally she caught what he meant before. He tells her to keep that feeling in mind, because she must feel magic before she can find it. He says the power is also found in nature, so she must make finding it her first goal and learn to feel the magic. She gives a confident smile and promises him she'll master it quickly, being the proud daughter of the mighty Mizua family. Our boy can't believe she'll keep her promise after she felt nothing when he poured magic in her, so he decides she isn't meant to be a mage. A week goes by, and Uka starts crying, telling our boy that she still can't feel magic. She was such a letdown because he was shocked that even after a whole week of hard practice, she still couldn't master something so simple. He thinks she's just really slow at getting it. With hardly any time left, he pours more magic into her, touches her back, and commands Uka to open her eyes as he begins to unleash his power. She slowly opens them, surprised to see a magical glow around her, and starts smiling as she finally understands what true magic feels like. Suddenly amazed by her own new ability to see magic, Uka wonders just how powerful Kusanagi really is. For some reason, she can barely feel him at all, and that leaves her very confused. He applauds her hard work, but she laughs it off, saying it's just second nature for a genius like her. Now that she can finally sense magic, he tells her they are about to start tuning up her power. He tells her to pour just the right amount of magic in her craft and focus only on doing it efficiently, letting go of all other thoughts. She must drain every drop of her magic to the very edge, knowing that this will make her much stronger once she heals. He thinks she can easily follow his commands now that she can feel the magic so clearly. He knows his magic training is nothing like what the Academy teaches, and he doesn't care if she trusts his words. Yuka smiles and tells him she finally trusts what he says. He smiles with relief that her mind has changed and gets ready to begin the next part of their training. She asks her to step back and get ready, because a fight is about to start. She nods, eager to witness his real strength. Yuka unleashes a flood of water attacks from her magic, but our hero blocks them all so easily that she is stunned. She has no idea why he blocked them. He raised a simple shield without any special power, showing that if she can't break this easy barrier, she has no chance of winning against her sister. She turns desperate and begins hurling ice bullets. He tells her that she must keep moving while striking because stopping will surely lead to defeat against a powerful mage. She grows angry and fires off more attacks, but eventually she tires herself out and stops. He says it's not right to waste so much magic power without getting good results. Once she learns to control the magic she sends into a spell, she'll be able to fire attacks without chanting. So Kusanagi urges her to watch him closely as he blasts a dummy with fire twice to show her exactly how it works. She realizes her magic is weaker than his, But he confirms she's right and teaches her that she doesn't need spells if she learns to shape her power just right. She finally realizes there is no need to chant when casting a spell. He nods and tells her that her very first move is to figure out how to make her magic spells shorter, so that once she masters this trick, she won't need any words at all to cast them. He thinks that if she can make her spells shorter, she'll save her magic power and get much stronger. He commands her to rise and fight him once more, insisting that anything less is pointless, and with a cold look, he orders her to train as if her life depends on it. Her heart hammers in terror as she hears the words, and she tumbles to the ground. He asks if she is okay and says they will do this every day, but he sees she isn't even listening to him. Late at night, our boy makes his way into Haruku. He recently felt monsters nearby and came to check, but even though he keeps trying to kill them, the number of monsters just won't go down. All of a sudden, he sees a person getting pounced on by a magical monster. He doesn't waste a second and sprints straight for the kid. He arrives just in time and wipes out the monster before it can even move. The boy stops and asks the little girl if she is okay. Instead of saying thanks, she begins snapping photos of him. He rushes away, confused that she wouldn't say thanks and instead started snapping photos. He is sure that something is terribly wrong with people these days. He resolves to cover his face properly next time and walks away. The following day, the hero picks up where he left off and begins training with Uka once more. She tumbles down right away and quickly grows weary. Their fight is coming up fast. He thinks her progress isn't bad, but she's still far behind Ruka in almost everything, and at this pace, she won't stand a chance against her before the duel. He reassures her and tells her it's okay to give up now. She stands up and tells him that everyone has been comparing her to her sister her whole life. She has had to quit over and over again because she just can't beat her sister. She refuses to quit Magicraft even when he insists she'll fail, so she challenges him to push her harder. He nods, lets go of all his doubts, and decides to dive right in without a second thought. She hears the news, feels happy, and gears up for a fight. They keep training together, and he shows the girl lots of new tricks. As the sun was about to set, Uka fainted from the grueling training and Kusanagi had to carry her home. After training together for a few days, he finally tells Uka she is ready to face her sister in battle. She crashes to the floor, finally letting out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Kusanagi praises her for all her hard work, and she starts smiling when she hears his words. When the day of their challenge arrives, our boy asks if she's ready to fight. She says yes, and as they head into the academy, they see a huge crowd with reporters asking if they're really seeing Mizua from the noble family. They ask a few questions about the magic fight and wonder if she is battling her own sister. Kusanagi gets confused but explains that since her family is so big and she's about to fight her sister, the press acting strange makes sense. He is shocked that so many people care about the fight between the two students, guessing it's because the Mizua family is so important until everyone arrives at the training ground where a huge crowd has gathered to watch. He's a bit shocked to hear that student duels are such a rare event rather than just a common challenge. Both step up on the stage, but Uka suddenly starts trembling, so he reassures her and tells her to just focus on doing her best. She quiets down and smiles as Uka steps forward with confidence, calling our boy a mysterious figure whose words truly touched her heart. Uka and Ruka finally stand face to face. Ruka is shocked that her little sister didn't just run away. Uka says she'll do it, and even though Ruka calls her rude for thinking she can beat their older sister, Eureka insists she will win. Ruka decides to give her another try, convinced that the girl has changed a lot in just 2 weeks. Uka knows her older sister is powerful. She sees the gap in their magic is huge, but she trusts in herself and knows she will win. The duel begins as both fighters are given the go-ahead to start. Eureka doesn't hesitate. She instantly draws her magic circle and tries to shorten her own chances. Ruka starts her attack, and Kusanagi watches the fight, realizing that dodging while casting spells is the key to battling. He thinks Ruka knows the basics of a mage duel, but Uka was so nervous she froze completely and lost her edge, even if she cuts down her chanting time. Ruka and Eureka throw their simplest water spells at each other. Wa stands her ground and takes her older sister's attack on. She's amazed by how strong she feels and thinks she's finally gotten better. Ruka admits that in just 2 weeks, she has gotten much stronger. Uka beams with delight as her older sister gives her a well-deserved compliment. Ruka humbles her by telling her to stop giggling, reminding her that it was just a comparison and not praise. Ruka pushes her magic to a higher level and unleashes a much stronger attack this time. She unleashed a powerful second-level water blast that we simply couldn't withstand. She gets knocked down and lands right beside the hero. He watches her and realizes her enchanting magic is now stronger, giving her a better shot at winning. But she still can't hope to beat her much older and far more powerful sister. Ruka calls him a cruel man for not helping her stand up, even though he was actually protecting her just before. He tells her he doesn't need her help, but Ruka is confused by what he really means. Suddenly, Uka stands up and shocks her sister, who can't believe Uka is still on her feet after getting hit by a powerful level 2 blitz attack. Uka is ready to win the match, while Eureka has nothing but her magic craft to focus on. Even if she loses everything, she'll never let go of her magic craft. Yue strikes back, and Ruka joins the fight right away. She fights hard to stand against her older sister, refusing to give up, but eventually she tumbles to the ground after pushing her magic too far. The announcer declares that Uka has run out of magic, making Ruka the winner of the contest. Uka scrambles to rise and fight back, but she ends up falling short. Kusanagi says it was a magical showdown where his friend ran out of power, and he thinks that's the only reason he lost. Ruka asks if he gets it now, calling her little sister talentless, while knowing our boy has likely thought about this too. He admits she has no talent, and is so clumsy that she struggles to keep up and can't handle a real fight. He tells Ruka she's a real hard worker who practices every single day with the stubborn persistence of an idiot. Ruka is still upset with the results, but he tells her he loves hard-working people like Uka who never give up. The girl began to cry when she heard what he said. He proudly calls Eureka his disciple and won't let anyone talk about her casually. Eureka starts crying so hard that Ruka scolds him for being arrogant and can't understand why someone with 100 magic power talks so much. He shows her exactly how he plans to beat her, relying on his 100 magical powers to win the fight. She thinks he's just good at talking nonsense, but decides to agree, and as Ruka tells him his opponent is someone else, Katsuragi appears excited that it's his turn next. Ruka tells him to wrap it up fast, and he promises he won't need to be told twice. Katsuragi picks up Wika and sets her down to rest, then orders her to watch the fight closely so she can learn something. She finally gets what he's saying, and in that moment, the ache in her body vanishes and her arms are completely healed. As our boy steps onto the stage, he admits that his 100 points of magic power aren't enough to win, so he must pour 100% of his focus into a raw, spell-free attack that leaves him open to dying if he gets hit, yet the thrill of the moment makes his heart race with excitement. Katsuragi readies himself, saying sorry because he's not going to hold back. Our boy makes it clear that he's the one who needs to hold back. The crowd cheers for Katsuragi, hoping he holds back just enough so the challenger doesn't get hurt. He pays no mind to their words and unleashes his 8,000 magic points. Our boy sees the danger and knows it's minor, but with only 100 magic power left, he might actually die. As the second match gets underway, Katsuragi worries that our boy might still be angry after everything. So while he draws his magic circle for the attack he's about to unleash, he decides to see if Kusanagi actually beat up those delinquents. He dares Kusanagi to take on his full blast. Just as he was about to throw it, something struck him right on the forehead. The protagonist sighed in frustration, calling the guy slow. The crowd gasped in shock when the game finished faster than anyone expected. The announcer shouts that Kusanagi has won the fight. Ruka stares in shock as her friend goes down with a single blow, and she can't believe he didn't cast a spell, so she wonders what secret trick he pulled off. Kusanagi smiles, relieved the match ended fast just how she planned, but she gets annoyed when he speaks. Yua is just as shocked and can't quite believe he actually won. Ruka claims he is strong, but he insists he's even stronger than her, prompting her to tell him to stop talking nonsense. Ruka blasts her 10,000 points of magic power, and Kusanagi spots it with his special sight, realizing she is far stronger than the man he battled before. As the announcer shouts that Kusanagi is fighting in a brand new way that has everyone watching, the third match begins to decide who the true winner will be. Kusanagi pulls off the same trick twice, firing magic bullets that she meets with a counter of water magic. Our boy only has 100 magic points, so he can't touch Ruka unless his magic bullet hits her right on the forehead. He notices she's already changed, shielding her forehead and standing her ground while wielding her magic. Ruka keeps throwing water attacks at him, but she is stunned to see him standing there unharmed, knowing he has no magic and wondering how he keeps going. Even the crowd is puzzled, staring at him without a drop of water on him, even after being hit over and over. Uka is also not sure about the way he's shielding himself, knowing he definitely messed something up. Ruka strikes out once more, yet the boy vanishes in a blur of impossible speed to dodge her spell. She finally understands how he is still standing, but she is left completely speechless. Uka figures out that one magic strike can cancel out another, even if the enemy is much stronger, letting him dodge the harm. Everyone knows there's only one way to stay safe, by avoiding the pain. Ruka clenched her teeth in frustration, realizing her level 2 attacks were so fast and heavy that no one could possibly survive an encounter with them. She can't help but wonder why the protagonist stands so boldly against such powerful magic, knowing Kusanagi is likely watching her thoughts, while he believes that dodging spells is only easy if you can feel them coming and have the guts to act. Ruka's expression turns serious as she casts a 3rd-level spell named Azure Splash. The crowd starts to worry, afraid that if Kusanagi gets hit, everything will go wrong. Ruka is worn out, yet she's sure Kusanagi can't avoid this hit. Suddenly, a magic bullet strikes her out of nowhere, and she crashes to the ground. She can't fathom why he's still standing and is wondering just how he managed to dodge her blows. He says he used a special magic trick that swallows up all the magical power. He just walks straight through the middle on the drain. Ruka is stunned at first, but then she bursts out laughing and admits she has lost. The announcer shouts that Kusanagi Minato has won the match. Yuka dashes onto the stage to ask if they're both okay. Our boy gives her his word that everything is fine, grinning as he tells her he's won. She beams back, filling with pure joy. Ruka keeps her promise and gives them her word, letting them do whatever they want. Kusanagi felt relieved that everything turned out fine, especially since he saw Yuka's wounds weren't as bad as he first thought. Ruka probably held back during their fight, and now he's so embarrassed he's scrambling to make up an excuse. He shows how much stronger Yuka has become in just 2 weeks, figuring that Ruka must have noticed the change and that her overprotectiveness is no longer needed. Yuka steps forward with a firm voice, promising that she will grow strong enough so her sister never has to worry about her again. Ruka smiles, finally believing in her little sister. Kusanagi feels a warm glow in her heart as she watches the 2 sisters finally getting along. Suddenly, a crushing weight hits him, and he knows this magic is strange and dangerous. The sky turns red, and the hero wonders if this disaster is happening again. Tadano and his crew rummage through Kusanagi's bag, searching for something, knowing that many have already vanished after he showed his power in the duel. His lackey told him that his bag only held textbooks. Tadano praises our boy's hard work, but grows angry, convinced that Kusanagi is hiding a secret because no one so worthless could ever wield such powerful magic. One lackey stares out the window with pure terror, and Tadano, sensing he stumbled on something, moves right up to check. Everyone stares up at the red sky and wonders if it's the end, and while one of them thinks it has finally arrived, Tadano insists it isn't the calamity. At the training grounds, our boy looks up at the red sky and starts to worry. He can't figure out where this sudden, wild magic is coming from, so he suspects it must be the calamity. As fear spreads and the crowd begins to panic, one brave soul insists that this disaster isn't truly happening here. Kusanagi gets scared and confused by the sudden disaster, wondering if it's connected to what he felt in Shinjuku. He recalls the first disaster happened in Shinjuku, and our boy wonders if it's just a coincidence or if something important is hiding behind it. As the portals burst open and unleash a swarm of magical beasts, the students scream in terror while their teacher shouts to calm them down and guides everyone towards safety. Kusanagi doesn't hesitate and blasts a rapid stream of magic bullets to take down the monsters. He casts a spell to make his announcement heard by all. Our boy tells everyone to settle down, explaining that since this is just the start of the disaster, only weak monsters will appear and there's no need to worry. He promises everything will be okay if they think smart and follow his orders to sprint to the gym in groups, because going alone is too risky. He urges Ruka and everyone else to get out too. The teacher asks what he plans to do, and our boy explains that he wants to rescue the people still trapped inside the school. But the teacher warns him that it is too dangerous to go alone. The teacher scolds the boy for being reckless and tries to stop him, but Katsuragi insists on coming along so the hero doesn't have to face everything alone. And though the teacher is worried, he relents after hearing what Katsuragi can do, only advising them to stay safe while Katsuragi confidently assures the boy he won't die. Kusanagi shrugs it off and tells Wika he's heading out. Her worried eyes tell him to stay safe. Katsuragi dashes forward and shouts that he's going first to his junior. With insane speed, he zips 100 meters in just 10 seconds and challenges the protagonist to see if they can keep up. Kusanagi grabs his magic circles and surges forward at a speed that leaves the senior stunned, making it clear he's taking the lead. Katsuragi admits that while his speed is wild, it's worthless if he can't use it. He watches our hero carefully, trying to figure out what secret power he's hiding. He runs to save everyone while trying to learn more about Kusanagi. Using his special sense, our boy spots 58 magic users inside the school and realizes someone might have no magic at all. So he sets out to search the whole place and rescue those students. A handful of students get swiped, by some magical beasts. He slips into the classroom through a window just as the monsters appear, then easily defeats them with his magic bullets. The girls in front are shocked. A monster creeps up from behind, but the hero wipes it out instantly without even flinching. Katsuragi catches up to him and asks if he is alright. Kusanagi hopes he can get everyone to safety without a hitch, then he turns and heads off. Katsuragi tries to warn him that going alone is too dangerous, but her plea falls on deaf ears. Katsuragi sighs that the hero is simply too quick for her to follow, admits he isn't much help, and accepts that he really is a burden. He still can't believe the boy took down a magical beast without a sweat, and Katsuragi asks who on earth he is. Kusanagi sprints down the school halls hunting for students, knowing he must take down the monsters one by one instead of all at once because he's inside a school where he might accidentally hurt a student while doing so. He has no choice but to chase down the monsters himself, using only weak magic to keep the students safe. He bursts into the classroom and slays more magical beasts to rescue the students whose lives hang by a thread. Once he finishes beating up all of them, the students thank him, but knowing he can't save everyone himself, he rushes to the gym one by one to help them escape. Over there, Katsuragi grabs a handful of students and promises to hold off the monster while they get away. One student points up at the sky, and when he asks what's going on, he sees a few classmates slowly floating down inside bubbles. He wonders what the hero is trying to do and asks himself who that person could even be. Our boy used magic bubbles to send the students toward Katsuragi, trusting that this kind guy knows how to look after them, so he figured it was safe. He suddenly feels a chill, and right there, a young girl begins to tremble in terror as a massive monster corners her. Tears streaming down her face, she screams for help with every bit of strength she has left. A massive magical bullet hits the beast and wipes it out in an instant. She recalls it being the very same thing she'd seen when she was saved before. Suddenly, Kusanagi shows up and asks if she's hurt. She discovers that he is the very person who saved her twice. Kusanagi steps forward and proves she was right. She asks if he was also behind what happened during the practice class, and since the girl thinks this is his second time saving her, our boy confirms that what she says is true. The girl bursts into tears of relief, finally able to thank him for saving her life twice. He doesn't mind it and thinks it's just nothing special. She stops talking as Katsuragi finally catches up, panting heavily, and asks who they need to save next. Kusanagi tells the girl to stick with the guy as he prepares to leave, and even when she tries to stop him, he simply ignores her and walks away. She starts to feel a bit scared as Katsuragi wonders what he is staring at. Our boy knows there are still many people trapped inside, so he can't wait for the police and must rush to save them all right now. From his office at the top of the government, the Prime Minister learns that the Kimui Magic Academy is being hit by the calamity, and his team is baffled by why this disaster is striking again. Everyone knows the last disaster was 50 years ago, and nothing bad has happened since. So they're asking the Prime Minister to quickly make a plan just in case their country is cursed. He tells them that he's reached out to the Beast Fighting Unit, the police, and the magic nobles to get everyone involved. The GSDF has begun preparing for the disaster. And while his men warn that they only have self-defense forces trained for control, not mages to fight the monsters, he calmly explains that such fear is natural after years of living a safe and peaceful life without any threats. They spent nearly their entire military budget on international defense, so they had no choice but to let the police and noble mages handle all the beasts and demons. He gets angry when he realizes the same terrible disaster from 50 years ago is happening all over again. But this time, they're fighting without Ishami Minato to help them. While driving somewhere else, the girl asks her senior if the disaster is really happening again, and he confirms it's definitely the calamity. She grows scared and anxious, shocked to find that the 50 years of safety were only a brief pause before the trouble returns. The guy, Shido Shugo from the Metropolitan Police Department, tells her not to worry because helping people is just their job. The girl resolves to give her all. She is Sergeant Sonata Karen from the police department. News reporters zoomed in on the chaos at the Magic Academy in a helicopter, telling everyone that something terrible was happening. He tells everyone that monsters keep pouring out and turning the sky completely red. The reporter says magical beasts just started showing up, so all the students are hiding out in the gym right now. The teacher shows the students how to stay safe, reminding them that with smart teamwork, they can beat even the magical beasts without it being too hard. The whole world is glued to the news, and even a few kids watching with their families spot that the academy is just right around the corner from their own neighborhood. They both make up their minds to run away right now. Outside, people start screaming and running for their lives. Two men watch from afar and see that things are getting really bad. As the news channels play on, the crowd watching them starts to worry. Our boy sees a huge wave of monsters surging forward and realizes the second stage is almost here, which means even scarier monsters are about to show up. As they move forward, the challenges are only about to get much harder. There is no use fighting them, because new beasts keep showing up without stopping. He has to beat the big monster, or those magical beasts will just keep showing up. He knows the boss won't show up until the very end, so he has to stay calm until that moment arrives. He feels annoyed, but keeps saving people, using his magic bubbles to lift 20 of them safely to land. He's struggling to find the students because they've spread out all over the place. He chooses to move on, and deep inside a random classroom, Tadano keeps blasting fire magic until he runs out of power and realizes his attacks aren't doing any harm. As the demon soldier blocks their path, the whole group breaks down, crying, and can't believe they've hit this bad luck twice. Tadano's lackeys remind him that he had warned the guy before, but the bully only gets more frustrated because he can't figure out why he can't defeat a monster with a single hit like the hero did. The hero steps up and says the enemy is just a weakling. Then Tadano opens his eyes to watch a magic blast wipe out the demon soldier without any trouble. He feels lost for a moment, but then he notices Kusanagi walking into the classroom. Our boy begins to leave, and Tadano admits with frustration that it has happened again. In the end, Kusanagi saved him all over again. He asks the boy to halt and wonders why he was saved again, even though the boy is terribly annoying and constantly acts like trash. The protagonist tells him there is no secret reason, because he simply chose to save them just because he has the power to do so. Tadano freezes, confused by his own words, while the bully feels small and starts insulting the protagonist to cover it up. He calls the guy a wimp who can't even use magic right, leaving Tadano baffled by how he suddenly became so strong. Kusanagi pulls back his disguise to admit the real Kusanagi died in a crash, and the boy standing there is his spirit given a second life. Tadano can't make sense of how someone gets stronger right before dying, especially since he expected to be the great Mage himself, but ended up losing to someone like Kusanagi. Our boy calls him weak trash because he believes strong people never bully the weak, and the weak never bully those even weaker than them. He shows that Tadano is just trash full of a fake sense of superiority that fooled him into thinking he was special. Kusanagi tells the guy that a weak loser like him couldn't possibly beat our hero in a fight right now. Tadano finally gives in, drops to his knees, and confesses that he's been running from the truth. His powers have barely changed since he was in junior high. He used to dump all his anger on anyone weaker than him. But in the end, he couldn't accept the truth even about Kusanagi, the person everyone thought was just a weak loser. He confesses to his followers that Kusanagi saved them all while the bully sobs uncontrollably, and at the same time, the hero slays the monsters in the classroom. A demon soldier bursts into the building, ready to kill him. He fires his magic shot, but the mighty beast sidesteps it with ease. So the boy has no choice but to let his blazing fire magic surge forward. He wipes out the enemies without breaking a sweat, but then notices their numbers swelling so fast that the big boss might show up any minute now. He tells the scared students not to worry, because he has handled everything. In another place, Katsuragi gets mad and wonders why we are piling so much work on our boy. He channels his fire magic to slay the magical beasts and shield the students. He tells the worried girl to trust him and follow, promising he'll use everything he has to keep everyone safe. The students quiet down and start cheering when they hear his words. He stares at the wall of monsters and wonders how he can keep the students safe from them all. Suddenly, Kusanagi pops up to offer help, but Katsuragi pleads for him to stop appearing out of nowhere since he's already scared the guy. Our boy tells him to get out of there right after he's taken care of every monster. Katsuragi feels worried because he thinks fighting that huge army of monsters is nearly impossible, so he believes it's best to change their path. The hero taps into his hidden magic and wipes out every monster, even the scary demon soldiers, with a tiny flick of his wrist. Everyone stands frozen in shock, yet he urges Katsuragi to lead the students out of this disaster and keep moving. Katsuragi understands what he's heard and shouts for everyone to follow him. The students run away while watching the magic bullets fly past them. Katsuragi grins with worry, seeing just how powerful the hero truly is. After everyone else has gone, our hero turns back into the school to find other students in trouble. While elsewhere, the teacher cheers on the students to keep pushing forward and never quit, so they can keep fighting back the monsters. Yuka begins to feel exhausted, but Ruka steps out from behind to tell her to go inside and rest, warning that she would become a burden if she can't keep fighting. Yua promised she would keep fighting with all her strength because there simply wasn't any time to stop and rest. Katsuragi finally bursts into the gym with the rescued students, and the teacher cheers him on, telling him to lead everyone inside. Katsuragi inquires about the situation, But Ruka delivers a disappointing report that they are barely holding on. Yuka worries about Kusanagi, but the guy assures her our boy is still alive and doing fine. She feels a wave of relief wash over her and breaks into a smile. Katsuragi admits Kusanagi is truly awesome and strong, and he's convinced that with Kusanagi right beside them, they can beat this disaster. Yuka nods in agreement, and just as everyone realizes the ground is shaking, terror sweeps through the students while the teacher shouts for them to get out immediately. From the thick smoke, a massive horde of powerful monsters bursts out. Katsuragi spots the demon soldiers hiding between them. He admits there is no way to fight back against such a massive army of beasts, so they must run for their lives. Then the second stage monsters, strong and scary, begin chasing the students. Uka sprints towards safety, but a magical beast nearly devours him. The monster falls and Wika is safe again. Shido instantly tells his men to wipe out the monsters while the police officers work hard to keep the civilians safe. The students let out a breath of relief when they see the police, knowing they are finally safe. Shido tells everyone not to worry since the police have arrived and orders them to leave the school safely. But when Eureka steps up to speak for the students, Shido repeats his command, and Uka clarifies that the students aren't just ordinary civilians. Ruka stepped up to join her and revealed that they are mages. Shido listens to their call for help and commands them to strike from behind. He admits they don't have enough people, so they desperately need the mage's help, even though he's frustrated with the police for being so useless. Sonata weaves her healing magic to mend the wounded students. The hero sees the police have finally come and chooses to let them handle the rest. He can't believe the police showed up before the self-defense troops, proving just how unprepared the country is for a national disaster. He believes this is a harsh lesson for those who forget the value of peace, yet he chooses to move forward anyway to save the students left behind. The reporter shouts that the police have arrived, but the monsters keep multiplying faster than anyone expected. She is worried that the police might not be able to fix the mess and is hoping the mage nobles will finally show up to help. A few students leaned in, eyes wide with excitement as they imagine the nobles stepping right into the news. The old couple shakes their heads and says, "We've paid our share, so now it's up to those fancy mage nobles to take care of this." The reporter is watching closely, hoping the team shows up any minute now. Inside the grand mansion, the noble mage Fukujin, head of the Fuku household, calmly orders his butler to ignore the coming disaster. The butler asks again to be sure, but Fuku insists it's just a small mess and that the police can handle it. The butler asks where Fuku is heading, and the noble mage decides to head to bed. The butler wished him a good night's sleep. Back at the school, Shido sees things spinning out of control. He asks the guard if his men can fight the magical beasts at the door, but they say no because there are just too many of them. Shido watches the horde of monsters swell and fears they won't reach the people in time. The self-defense troops meant to guard the rear haven't shown up, so he has to reach the mage nobles, but he can't get through to them. They were meant to be the heroes of this story, but now they're just as useless as broken toys. While the students fight the monsters alongside the police, Shido remembers all the lessons he learned about disasters. He wonders if folks 50 years ago handled it the same way and really hopes his boss doesn't walk in. Suddenly, monsters appear in a rush and a giant purple beam of light shines all over the place. A demon captain bursts in, sending everyone into a panic. Shido stares in shock, realizing the demon captain standing there is actually their own boss. Ruka recalls that the demon captain is a rare monster from another age that only powerful mage nobles can defeat. Yuka realizes they need magic far stronger than level 5, and panic sweeps over her as she cries out that no one knows how to cast such powerful spells. The demon captain lets loose its dark power and calls up many glowing magic circles. Uka turns to ice with sheer fear, but Ruka jumps in to block the hit, only to find her strength isn't enough. She jumps in front of Uka, using her body like a shield to block him. The demon captain's blow smashes into her, yet she shields Uka, leaving the younger girl to stare in horror as her sister takes a wound. While the students flee, Uka stays behind, fighting hard to save Ruka. Shido and his men are helpless against the monsters, so they shout for anyone to come and save them. Katsuragi throws everything he has at the demon captain, but the big bad just won't move. The police have given up and accepted their fate, while Yue keeps crying out for help, calling the protagonist's name. As the demon captain steps nearer, someone mutters an annoyance until the hero finally shows up, apologizing for the delay. He feels terrible about making the girl wait, but when Eureka looks worried about her sister, he gently reassures her that she just fainted. He quickly mends her injuries, but winces in anger at the terrible mess the monsters made. He tells the girl not to worry because he's about to clean up the entire mess, so she believes in him. All at once, glowing magic circles pop up and start stitching up the wounded students. Uka stares in shock as her sister's wounds vanish, while Sanada watches in awe as students wake up from third-level holy magic that she knows she could never cast herself, leaving her wondering who is pulling the strings. Sanada checks on her senior, who reassures her that while he's drained of magic, he isn't hurt. She wonders what's happening, and while Shido is just as confused, he insists they must protect the civilians. Sanada breaks down in tears, begging him to stop because fighting is too dangerous, but he stands his ground, convinced that if he doesn't fight they will all die, while she insists there is no hope since they have already lost everything. She points out that the police are already beaten, and since the defense troops and magic nobles haven't arrived yet, he has to admit there's nothing left they can do. As the demon captain presses on, the reporter learns that the entire police force has fallen. She loses all hope and believes they are about to die. The students watching the news called the nobles completely useless and prayed they wouldn't die. The people watch the news closely and learn that no one is strong enough to defeat the demon captain. The hero walks right up to the demon captain alone. Sanada spots him and thinks he's looking for trouble, so Shido tries to shout a warning, but our hero ignores them anyway. Kusanagi steps in to stop the monster from causing trouble. The demon captain roars with terror-inspiring fury, promising only death and ruin. Everyone froze in fear, with a few students so terrified they nearly lost their bladder. While Shido and Sanada are frozen in fear by the heavy pressure, the boy stands there completely unfazed. He launches his attack and yells at the monster to zip its lips. The demon captain screams in fury, dragging every monster along as it draws giant magic circles to attack the hero. He recalls how he gave everything he had the last time the disaster struck. Knowing that his next move would kill everyone around him, our boy chooses to hold back and spare the people from harm. Just as the monster's blows nearly crush Shido and the students, our hero raises his shields and fires a storm of magic bullets to blast the monster army back. Shido is stunned by the fight and wonders who he really is, while a news reporter realizes a student is battling monsters alone and decides to get closer since they can't see his face. Suddenly, the camera zooms right in. Uka grinned, knowing the hero was trying hard to hide who he really was. She knows he can finally give it his all without any worries, and as the young boy keeps firing magic bullets, the students finally see hope and begin cheering for his win. A few magical beasts sneak up from behind and almost attack the students, but Shido kills them and steps in to back up Kusanagi, since that is all they can do right now. Our boy grins when he sees the busy police officers, giving them a thumbs up and admitting they aren't as scary as he once thought. He keeps firing those magical bullets. The demon captain roars in anger and calls up circles of magic from the ground. It unleashes a massive 6th-level spell that shocks Shido, making him realize they are doomed because the magic is too strong for them to hope against. The demon captain unleashes dragon fire from the 6th level, and the entire area is swallowed by flames. As a massive wall of fire slowly swallows everything, everyone scrambles to stay alive. Shido fights hard to keep Sanada safe, but the students have given up, thinking it's all over for them. Sanada prays to God for help, just in case the students might live through it. Shido doesn't believe any student, not even a strong one like Kusanagi, can defeat the demon captain, but Yuka has total faith in him. She believes in him with every cell in her body, sure that he will win. As the massive attack rolls toward him, Kusanagi sees it's moving slow and realizes the demon captain is straining to use such powerful magic. He admits he can't face it with only 2nd-level magic, so even though he wants to stay low-key, he decides to tap into more power. Kusanagi draws 4 glowing circles and starts calling on the power of water. Yuka beams with joy and begins to cheer him on. The water twists into a giant snake, leaving Shido wide-eyed as he wonders if he's finally figured out synthesis magic. The water and fire blasts slam into Kusanagi, slowly crushing the demon captain. But the demon captain won't stop, charging forward and screaming that he wants to kill and destroy all of humanity. As the fire magic grows stronger, Kusanagi pushes harder until the demon captain realizes its end is finally near. The monster couldn't believe that a small boy had managed to beat it. Kusanagi coolly explains that the demon captain's lack of training is to blame, admitting she hoped for a tougher battle but now feels let down since the fight turned out to be too easy. At last, the sky settles back into its usual calm. Kusanagi lets out a smile of relief, happy that the disaster is finally over now that he has defeated the final boss. The students stand frozen in disbelief, unable to imagine how Kusanagi could have bested the demon captain. Everyone stands up to celebrate, and even the reporter and cameraman join in, finally feeling safe. Sanada gently tells the student she's safe now since the disaster is done, while Shiru stares at Kusanagi in disbelief, wondering how a single student could have stopped such a huge catastrophe all by herself. He couldn't believe even the nobles could have beaten the demon captain with 6th-level magic, wondered who the true Kusanagi really was, and then his legs suddenly gave out from exhaustion. Kusanagi tracks Yuka down and confesses he's called it quits, but she just smiles, telling him she never doubted him and thanking him for everything. That made him grin from ear to ear. Students crowd around him, cheering and praising his amazing deed. Everyone offers thanks, but the annoyed Kusanagi demands they back off. He wishes he hadn't stood out this way, just like before in his past life, hoping he won't have to live an annoying existence anymore, while Yuan notices how annoyed he looks. Finally, the news arrives that the disaster at Kamui Magic Academy is over, but the school is keeping secret the name of the boy who took down the monster all by himself. No one was killed, but some were hurt, so Kusanagi's friends showed him the news and told him that it was normal for him to look like a mighty savior, even though he got annoyed by it. Kusanagi becomes an S-class hero too, and his old friends feel sad because they can't talk to him like they used to. Some female students wondered if his amazing strength came from the blood of a great noble mage. The top student watches Kusanagi's annoyance at all the attention and wonders if anyone that strong can truly exist. Kusanagi's classmates step up to defend him and insist he beat the demon captain alone, but the S-class students still can't believe it. Sounds right no matter how they look at it. Kusanagi seizes the moment to slip out of the classroom, feeling a wave of relief wash over him as he steps into the fresh air. Yuka spots him, grins with a naughty glint in her eye, and asks if he's having a hard time. Well, he tries to escape her teasing, but she keeps talking anyway. She figures it's only natural that he's the mighty savior who kept the whole school safe. Kusanagi recalls that Yuka earned her S-class rank through her heroic efforts, yet she seems more concerned about someone else holding that spot instead, and in his worry, he suddenly thinks of Ruka and wonders if she is improving. Yuka happily nods and notes they're chatting more than ever, which makes Kusanagi glad and puts Yuka right in a good mood. She gives him a grateful heart for all that he has done. Suddenly, Kusanagi gives her head a light tap, which makes her blush and ask what's wrong. He makes it clear he doesn't want to thanking him over and over, just once is enough. Uka smiles as a man ends his international call, knowing that asking for help after this disaster will be nearly impossible since everyone is already stretched too thin with all their plans. One of them talks about how a student beat the giant monster, while the others say it was so weird that even the police gave up. Thinking others might misunderstand, the man tells his men to bring back the noble mages so they can get ready for the next disaster. On the school roof, Ruka and Katsuragi run into Kusanagi and Wika, and all four of them lock eyes for a heartbeat. Ruka then tells Kusanagi she wants to become his disciple. A few days later, Ruka sat down with her sister and started talking. She remembers the disaster being stopped by the hero. Her sister nods and adds that Kusanagi is the one who took down the demon captain using a powerful spell called 4-level synthesis magic. Ruka is shocked to hear this, remembering that even the most powerful mages can't wield such force. Uka promises her words are true, so Ruka trusts her little sister and smiles in relief. Uka puzzles over why her older sister thinks she never lies, but Ruka remembers that Uka has always been honest, kind, and hardworking, leading her to finally admit that her little sister truly has talent, and that she herself was just being stubborn. Uka sees her sister is just scared for her, so she stands tall with a determined smile and promises that she'll become strong enough to protect them both, letting her big sister rest easy for now. Ruka listens closely to her sister and sees how much she has changed. Uka hears the praise and breaks into a smile he can't stop. Ruka knows no student dares get close to Kusanagi, and she even suspects her own father might be weaker than him. She begs Yuka for help because she knows that just going with the flow won't make her a great mage, so she really needs Kusanagi to get stronger, and right now Ruka apologizes for being rude and looking down on them. She knows her request is ridiculous and selfish, yet she's willing to drop her pride to ask him directly if he'll take her as his disciple. Our boy nods in agreement, leaving her surprised as he promises to take her on as a student, though she can't figure out why he's being so kind. He calls her a weirdo for asking that and acting like this, even though she knows she's right, and is confused why he's still being so nice after she hurt him so badly, since he has already accepted her sorry and forgiven her, so that's the whole story. She is so stunned that Katsuragi seizes the chance to ask again, and the hero agrees easily because teaching two people isn't much harder, leaving the guy thrilled. Yue tells her older sister that her friend is truly kind. Katsuragi also calls him a mystery. Later that day, the main character is summoned to the conference room. Shido steps up to say he's from the police team that hunts beasts, while Sanada quickly follows to introduce herself too. They both bowed their heads in thanks, admitting that without his help, both the civilians and their teammates would have been dead instantly. Kusanagi asks if they need anything else, then tells them to stop thanking him since they've been saying it so much, insisting that what they've done is enough. Shido tells him the investigation is done, but something has caught his eye, leaving Kusanagi curious to know what it is. Shido tells us that our boy picked up his magic powers from a strange traffic accident. Everyone around him is talking about the change, but one student says the car crash turned him into a completely new person. Kusanagi stands quiet, letting the investigation unfold around her. Shido suddenly found his personality transformed and his magic growing so powerful he could easily beat a demon captain without even trying. Uka asks him to stop and wonders what he's really trying to say. Shido shifts the topic and asks if anyone knows about a guy called the Black Magician. Our kid can't place the name, so the man plays a video to show that this dark wizard once slayed monsters, cleared the land, and saved the people. He hides his face and only steps out after dark, leaving Shido shocked that he hadn't seen the famous video, though the protagonist finally understands their warning. Yue steps in to ask why he's dumping all this on Kusanagi. Shido smiles and says, "We're alike in more ways than just age, even down to our height and build." Shido realized the Black Magician is a powerful foe, and he doubts any student his age could ever pull off such tricks. It's strange that the Black Magician began his trouble right the moment our boy left the hospital. Because using magic in the city without a Real permit is a serious crime. If a student gets caught doing it, the academy has to deal with the mess. With all the public attention it has attracted, the police had no choice but to step in and take action. Shido warns that kicking him out won't be enough. But if the protagonist admits the truth, Shido will show him some mercy and reduce his punishment, so he must answer very carefully. Shido asks one last time if he's the Black Magician, but Kusanagi just shakes his head with no emotion on his face. Shido lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding and beams with relief, glad that our boy isn't the Black Magician. After saying thanks and heading out, Shido is stunned that our boy showed no emotion at all, yet he admits the lad is either incredibly brave for lying so openly or is hiding something big because he's clearly not just an ordinary student. Sanada knows Kusanagi is the Black Magician because their voices sound the same, and she wonders if he only wanted to save lives that night. Sanada keeps her secret from the law, risking her badge because she trusts the hero is a good person. Shido makes up his mind to do whatever it takes to uncover the Black Magician's true identity, as Sanada decides to keep his secret and do whatever she can to help him. After a while, the S-class homeroom teacher brings Mizua Wika and Kusanagi Minato to the front and asks the class to make them feel welcome. The students begin to wonder if he is truly the man who defeated the demon captain. The girls ask Uka how she feels about being a noble mage. The teacher tells everyone to get seated just as class starts, but she is surprised to see that both new students are famous. Kusanagi spent the whole day answering questions until he felt terrible, which is exactly why he had been so desperate to keep his identity a secret. A voice calls out to him from behind. Our boy turns around to see the girl he saved earlier standing there, hoping he won't mind sharing a few minutes of his time with her. As the boy finds himself on a rooftop once more, he wonders if there's a rule that says the top is always the place to go whenever you need to talk. Yuka crept along the wall to peek at the rooftop and wondered why he was there, hoping to sneak in some private practice herself. She feels a twinge of jealousy watching him alone with a girl, so she tries to peek and figure out what they're up to. The girl asks if he still remembers her, but the boy says he doesn't until she reminds him that he saved her life in the disaster, and suddenly he remembers her name. She remembers how those magic beasts nearly killed her during the combat lesson, until someone used their magic to save her life. She realizes the mastermind behind that magical blast was Kusanagi, and as she thanks him for saving her life, he simply shrugs and says he just did what he could. The girl turns red and calls him cool. Yuka's strained to listen, but she can hardly hear anything they are saying. She finally lets it out that she's head over heels for him and really hopes he'll take her on a date. Yuka is stunned when she realizes that she's finally about to tell him how she feels. The hero didn't even flinch. She admits she's not perfect, but she promises to try her hardest and asks him if he'd be willing to be her boyfriend. Kusanagi smiles and gives the girl a heartfelt thank you for her brave confession. She lets out a smile, but he keeps talking and tells her he's sorry. Her smile vanishes instantly as he politely explains he has no time to date anyone because he must do something very important. She gets why he thinks that way and forces a smile to appear on her face once more. She feels relieved he was honest and chooses to walk away from him now. The girl climbed down from the rooftop, her eyes filled with tears. Kusanagi tells Uka to stop running and finally show herself. She is caught red-handed with an awkward smile, confused because she thought she hid her mistake well and doesn't understand how he figured it out. He shouts that her mana control is terrible and spells are leaking everywhere. Noting this is the second time he's caught her sneaking around and wondering if she might even have a peeping fetish. Yue tells him with a flush on her cheeks that she walked in right at the wrong moment and never meant to catch him in the middle of anything. She wonders why he turned down such a sweet and pretty girl. Kusanagi says he isn't looking for a date right now. She is surprised, but he thinks he is too old for them, even though he is in the same grade as everyone else. Uka feels a strange relief wash over her when she realizes he's not looking to date anyone, even though she doesn't know why hearing that makes her feel so happy. She stares at him with a worried look on her face. Kusanagi tells her to practice controlling her mana because it's terrible right now, and he insists she needs to work much harder. She promises him she knows the truth and vows to push herself harder than ever just to prove herself worthy of his respect one day. As night falls, the hero pushes into a new place crawling with monsters. He worries that their troubles will only get worse, but then a girl's scream cuts through the air with a cry for help. A man with illegal magic uses his power to torment a girl, mocking her by saying screaming is useless because no one is around to hear her. Kusanagi steps in to prove to the guy that he isn't alone. The thug looks shocked, but our hero doesn't wait, and quickly punches him right in the stomach. He waves his magic until the other man drops like a stone. He learns it is just